flour.
On purpose.
What's this?
Sweet.
What is this? That you giving me?
They told me to start getting stuff ready for pasta.
Okay. You gave me this. It has nutmeg in it.
I was supposed to sift it, but I can't find the salt either.
It's not
Salt there.
Okay. So for your pasta, right, you start off with your flour and your eggs. Okay. Make sure you have clean hands. I wash my hands a couple of times before I start this out.
What's the ratio?
Huh? Usually about 4 to 5 eggs for a pound of flour. Okay. You can switch it up and just use egg yolks, and then take out some of the egg whites and add more egg yolk, right? Or you can use water, or you can use mostly eggs and a little bit of water. It all just depends. Okay. And I'm going to show you how to be able to tell at the end, because different flours are going to do different things. This is just all-purpose flour. I'm going to take this right here. So give me a fork. And then we should have a little bit of salt. This is salt, right? Yeah, it does need salt. A little tiny bit of salt. And let's make this a fresh herb pasta, shall we? Since we have lots of fresh herbs. I'm going to save the olive oil until the end of the process.
What else did you put in the pasta?
Give me a fork or what?
He was watching it.
Oh, okay.
Pork, right?
There we go. So, we're going to start off making a little well in the middle, and you can do this straight on your table, to be honest with you. I just like to save you guys the trouble of cleaning up my mess later on. Okay, we're going to mix it in together. We're just going to mix it real nice, make sure that everything gets now there's two ways that you can make the pasta roll it out. You can either, actually, first let's go with two ways to mix it. You can mix it this way, by hand, or you can also make it in the food processor. But if you make it in the food processor, it winds up being a really dry, hard to work with kind of dough. And you just got to realize that the way it comes out when we mix it by hand and the way we mix it when it comes out by the food processor, they look different, they'll both still work. But you have to take that food processor one and roll it through the pasta roller. Okay?
So you don't have to do that with this.
No. And we're not going to.
This is just because it's a mincer.
It's, I don't know why it does that.
Is it because of the heat and friction of the plate?
I don't think it's the heat. I think it's how violent it is and then the gluten it creates. Okay? So I'm going to mix together this dough a little bit. You can see that it's really loose right now. And sometimes we don't need all the flour. Okay, take this. Get out of the way real quick. Take my dough. It's still really wet. Right? And we're going to knead it. Right? You can sit here and knead it like this if you want. Okay, but you take the heel of your hand. Okay. You stretch it out, and then you fold it back over itself. You want to try to get that worked into the dough.
Are you looking for elasticity when you start to bring it into a ball?
It's going to start being elastic the more that we knead it. Right? So if it's sticking to our countertop, that's okay. Got a little bit more flour. You can do this in the bowl. You can do this in the KitchenAid with the dough. You can do it in the food processor. It doesn't matter how it comes together. You're just going to have a different product. The texture is going to be different. So what we're doing right now is we're developing gluten in here, right?
You just keep using the dough from the table and nothing else from the bowl. Just constantly everything.
So
from there.
far, I've only added a little bit. And because what I'm looking for is the right consistency. Because every flour is going to be just a little bit different. All the egg sizes are just a little bit different. Maybe we didn't get all of the egg out of the egg, the eggshell. And I like to make mine, if I'm going to do it by hand, I like to make it a little bit looser dough than if I'm going to run it through the pasta roller. We're going to make ours by hand tonight. Chef Paul will
So what is the consistency you're looking for? If I had to compare it to something.
It should be smooth, elastic, and the only way to tell is to have touched it. And so that's why I demo this one for you guys, so that you can see. Because when you make it in the food processor and you put it all together, it winds up being really nice and dry, and then it goes really nicely through the pasta roller. But for our purposes, when we're just going to roll it out by hand, It needs to be just a little bit looser. Otherwise, you get a really good workout.
What's the holding time with fresh pasta? How long can we keep it to use it in anything we want it?
Say one more time.
What's the holding time on pastas? Making it to the
The shelf life of fresh, like this fresh pasta dough right here. This won't last more than a couple of days in the state that it's in right now. You got to use it right away. So you either cook it and shock it to keep it for later, or you dry it out. You let it hang and you let it dry. So what I usually do is I'll take like a wooden spoon over a Lexan container, lay it all out. You know, you can also, I'll show you later, we can make little bird's nests out of it and do individual portions. Okay.
Can you freeze or refrigerate any type of pasta that's
If you refrigerate it and leave it for too long, this starts to discolor. It starts to turn gray, starts to turn brown, so no. Okay, so do me a favor. Wrap that in plastic wrap. We need to let it rest, right? You can see this now, it's a little bit loose. And since we're going to do it by hand, it's good for it to be a little bit loose like that. I don't know if you can see though, when you touch it. It's just started to get nice and elastic. We're going to let time help us out with that, the rest of that development. 20 minutes, okay? If we were to roll it out right now, it would just shrink back on itself every time we try to roll it out, and it wouldn't work very well. We're going to let it rest for 20 minutes. We're going to give that gluten some time to relax. And then we'll roll out fresh pasta cheese. Some nice little stuff right there. You can also add a little bit of olive oil into your pasta for flavor. Was this the olive oil that was in that can? Was it? Whoever got it. Those big jugs of olive oil, I don't like the flavor of them. And so I don't like to use it unless I know that it's the good stuff.
Isn't olive oil supposed to be like a dark bottle?
Yeah, it's supposed to be in a dark container because light will affect it. Yes. Put that in the fridge.
Chef, is the resting time just like on that size of ball, or like if you make a lot of dough?
20 minutes. 20 minutes. You make a lot, and if you do make a lot, and you're going to do it by hand or whatever, I would cut it into portions and then let it rest. Cut it to the size that you're going to use. Because then when you cut it and portion it, you got to let it rest again because you've already disturbed it.
So, Chef,